to today's special Translation Manchester Research Network seminar about catapulting your translational research. So the basic agenda for today is a short introduction from myself, Dr. Fiona Foster, and my colleague, Dr. Alessandro Faroni. We are the Translational Research Managers at the university. And then we'll have presentations from Lynne and Rafa from the Medicines Discovery Catapult, followed by Asimina from the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. And we have set up that there will be one-to-one meetings which needed to be pre-booked. So those will start at 2 for those who have pre-booked, and you should have received your Zoom link. Okay, thanks. Next slide, Ali. So just for those who aren't aware, Translation Manchester, where Alessandro and I work, is the arm by which the University of Manchester delivers the Wellcome Trust Translational Partnership Award, which was awarded first in 2018 and then in 2021 for an additional 3 years. And the point of the TPA award is to help move research from the lab to a healthcare or society outcome. So it's to help push research through the translational pipeline. And one way in which Manchester or Translation Manchester does this is through the setup of the Translation Manchester Research Network, which brings together all the pockets of expertise both within the university and from our external partners, such as the Catapults, that can help researchers move their research along this pipeline. Ali, next slide. So the network itself at the moment consists of over 60 partners, and they can support research across all phases of the translational pipeline. And information on each of the partners can be found in the booklet. The link is on the slide, and we'll post it in the chat in a moment, and also from our website. Okay, and I think I'm now about to hand over to Alessandro, who's going to tell you a bit more about what we do and our pump priming schemes.
Thank you, Fiona. I'll try to keep this brief. Basically, the main point of this series of the seminar series in the past couple of months and today in particular is to allow you to find partners with which collaborate and perhaps apply to our funding scheme, which is called Translational Manchester Accelerator Award. So this is open at the moment, and the idea is to pump prime research in order to do that process that Fiona has just described. We got funding from not only the Wellcome Trust, but also the MRC UKRI Impact Accelerator account that's been recently awarded to the university. And we have 2 schemes, one of which is currently open. The other one has just recently closed, actually, the Confidence for Translation. But today is mostly about access to expertise. Access to expertise is this funding scheme that allows you to apply up to 25K in order to access expertise, which is external to your research group. So that could be, for example, an expert by informatics, a research nurse for collection of samples, an external company that can help you in developing software or an app, or regulatory advice, for example, from the Catapults, or any other support that the Catapult can provide, which we're going to hear about in a minute. So it's not intended to find an entire project. It's only about you getting expertise to overcome a specific bottleneck. The call is now open, and the deadline for application is at the end of July. So if today you find out that the Catapult are really able to help your translational research, start the conversation with them. Even if you haven't booked a one-to-one, just get in touch with them. We can share the contact details, and perhaps you can put together a proposal for the deadline on the 22nd of July. We will review the application during the summer with the awards made in November. So I think that's all I wanted to say about the core, really. And it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, which is the Medicines Discovery Catapult. Lynne and Rafa are gonna be doing a double act, if I'm correct. Am I? Lynne? Good.
Yep,
thank you so much for coming today, and the floor is all yours. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Alessandro. I'll just share my screen now. Yeah, thank you all for coming today, and thank you, Alessandro and Fiona, for inviting us. Today I'm going to talk a bit about a couple of things within the Medicines Discovery Catapult. We have Rafa following me, who's going to talk more about the bioinformatics and the informatics team and the support that they can provide. So who are we? So yeah, Medicines Discovery Catapult is one of the Catapult organisations that are funded by Innovate UK. We are independent and we're not for profit. So any money that we bring in, we recycle within the Catapult to make our offering better. We've been going for, this is now year, we were established in 2015, and there's around 130 of us that work at the Catapult. Most of these, all of these are experts in the drug discovery field or associated things. So what do we do? So our work is not to do drug discovery for us, it's to help you do drug discovery. So far we have partnered with over 100, I think it's 132 companies at the moment, working on over 200 projects, and we've sort of helped 4 compounds get into the clinic. So the space that we sit in is really to help early researchers. So if you have an idea or you have some data, you know, you've been working on a pathway, a specific pathway within a specific disease indication for a while, what do you need to get from where you are just now to the clinic? Now, obviously, you know, many people want to get to the patient, and, you know, the line of sight is always to the patient, but that's a big ask. So let's break it into smaller steps. So how can we help you get from where you are to now to the point where you, you know, you might engage with a big pharma who are going to help you move forward in your clinical trials? So yeah, in our spare time, we also set up at the Lighthouse Labs at Alderley Park, which had set up 20 million COVID samples. So yeah, we how do we work? So most of our work is either through contracted fee-for-service projects, so we will help you on a fee-for-service basis, or we will collaborate in a grant. We also, if we're not the right partner for you, as I say, we're independent, we'll help you find somebody that will be able to help you. We also offer a sort of shared risk and reward scheme where you share IP, but I probably think that's not that relevant for most of the audience today. So we help a number of people, and, you know, if you've got an SME or you're a small company, please get in touch. There's other ways that we can support you as well. There's grants available from Innovate, for example. But how we can help academics is, I mean, first is, you know, our lab capabilities. We have huge amount of lab capabilities with experts and then lots of new technologies, but I'm not really going to touch on that today. What we're going to touch on is how we can help you with the informatics, or how we can help you providing impartial, unbiased advice that can help you accelerate your project from where it is just now to a project that is a real clinical plan. So I'm going to talk today about our virtual R&D team. So the virtual R&D team are a team of experts who come from a drug discovery background, so generally from a big pharma background, and they hate me saying this, but between them, they've got over 100 years experience in like preclinical drug discovery. They will help you de-risk your project. They will, they have, you know, they're coming for the other side. So you're an academic, you know your target, you've been working in your target. Where their team come in is they will bring what big pharma would like to see. How are you going to get down that pathway to progress your drug or a small molecule or you know, complex med. So what does that actually mean in reality? Like, oh, we'll help you. Basically, we'll be able to support you. The first thing that we would do is get your data and pick it apart and tell you how good or bad it is. Now, not just for fun. Obviously, the point of this is that we will then be able to point out the holes, you know, things that are missing, things that you need to do, provide you a detailed roadmap to clinic. So, you know, you want to treat Parkinson's disease, for example, how are you going to get there? That's a mountain, but every mountain starts with the first step. So what's the first thing that you need to do? We would provide you this roadmap where it would set out in detail what experiments you have to do, what experiments are completely necessary. And obviously there's other experiments that are nice to have. Now, nice to have is great if you've got limitless money, but you know, the VR&D team will help you prioritize exactly what experiments that you need to do. They'll also provide you with skills development. You know, they are experts in this field, which is not not a field that many academics are particularly well versed in. You know, with their help, we can help you move your project to sort of further stage. So I'm going to pass over to Rafa now. Rafa's going to talk about the informatics capabilities at MDC and how his team can help you understand what your data means. You know, it's fair enough walking into a big library and you've got every single book that's ever been written, but you know.
Oh, do shut up. Anything.
So I'll pass over to Rafa.
Thank you very much, Lynne. Since you have the slides, you don't mind
yeah, that's fine.
Go to the next slide. Once I say next, that would be great. Yeah, so thank you very much for the invitation. Very happy to introduce the capabilities of the informatics team. This is a nice slide of our happy team based in Alderley Park. So this is South Manchester, and it's a team that is dedicated to informatics drug discovery. Next slide. So this is the goal of the informatics team, is to support organizations like yours, projects, to help you to make decisions about developing new medicines. And what we do is we collect, analyze, and interpret complex data to be able to help you with your insights, to be able to create hypotheses, to be able to validate hypotheses. Some of our strengths are based on having a multidisciplinary team, a team with expertise in different domain areas. Also, we develop our own assets. So our own assets are databases, data sets, as well as specific software to do specific things, to provide specific services. Also, we integrate data. We have as well data that we buy. We buy specific licenses. Also, we have a specific software to be able to do tailored analysis. And also, we have an infrastructure, data infrastructure, to support all of these data analysis. Next slide. So we have a different domain expertise. So we have people with expertise in cheminformatics, as well as people that support our lab analysis in metabolomics. We have as well bioinformatics expertise. We do a lot of clinical informatics. We do as well genome informatics. We analyze the data that is related to variation, expression, and also we focus on proteomics, different types of proteomics that are derived from mass spectrometry, but also protein structures, and we do as well a lot of analysis related to protein annotations and protein sequences. And something that we do quite a lot is multi-omics experiments, and so we support the analysis of those multi-omics data. And we have as well a team dedicated to imaging, and this is to support most of the data that is created in our lab in informatics, but also we can provide support if you need support in data analysis of imaging data. We have two additional teams that are supporting all these activities. Data science team focus on machine learning, text mining, imaging, and also data infrastructure team that supports the data management, supports software development, the creation of workflows. Next. So all this expertise, all these teams are to provide 5 capabilities. So we have a capability or service that is focused on target identification. So this is to identify potential targets that could be interesting for one specific disease, or sometimes you might have information about a drug that you want to explore, to exploit more related to drug repurposing to find targets. Also, we have a service that is tailored to drug assessment. You might have a list of targets. You might want to know which is the best target to move forward in your drug development project. We have as well a pipeline for virtual screening, and this is to identify drugs for a specific target, or similar drugs to a collection of drugs. And also we do drug assessment. You might come up with a list of drugs. You might want to know which one has more potential in drug development process, and we can help you with that. And we have a service that is a bit of a combination of all those services that we call drug repurposing. I think that the idea is to collaborate. As Lynne was saying, we don't do drug discovery. What we do is we help organizations, companies to do drug discovery. So the collaborator will come with a question, scientific question about a disease, a target, a biomarker, and a drug, and we will try to help them providing these services. Next. So to provide these services, we have assets we have developed in MDC databases, methods, tools. You have there a list of some of the tools that we have developed. Unfortunately, I don't have time today to cover those, but if you want in our one-to-one, I'm very happy to describe some of them and how we use them for providing those capabilities. And I think something that is important that is at the bottom of this slide is that when we come up with predictions, for instance, for a prediction of what it could be the best target for a disease, we can do part of that validation in our labs. So we have state-of-the-art labs that are focusing on biomarker validation, on experiments in biodistribution, and also target engagement. And also we have the virtual R&D team that Lynne described that can help us as well to identify if it makes sense to do a specific experiment in a drug development process. Next slide. So I didn't have much time to explain some of the use cases, so I decided to take this use case that is a bit of a combination of different things that we do in MDC informatics. This is a drug repurposing use case that we did for the MS Society. So the MS Society was interested to identify new drugs that could be used for multiple sclerosis. So what we did in MDC, it was to search clinical trials, and we identified that there are 40 drugs that are used in drug therapies. What we did is apply our target identification pipeline to be able to identify that there are 154 targets for those drugs. So what we did for that is to apply our virtual screening pipeline, where we identify 320 drugs for those 154 targets. For those drugs, what we did is to collect information, physicochemical properties, ADMET properties, bioactivity properties for the drugs. And what we did is a ranking of those drugs. And what we did is we created an interface. We shared that interface with experts in multiple sclerosis, and they help us to do a short list of drugs. So we came up with a short list of 55, and further work was done with those drugs. And we came up with an agreement of 4 drugs that could be and actually are going to be used and tested for future treatments. So this is an example of a drug repurposing work where we can see the application of some of the capabilities that we have in informatics. Next slide. Yeah, so how can you work with MDC informatics? So we have different type of stakeholders, organizations, departments that work with us. So some people that have more expertise in the lab that needs informatics support, so we can help them with some of the services that I mentioned. Also, sometimes we have informatics organizations that have a specific capability. For instance, it might be cheminformatics, and they might need support in bioinformatics, or some support in data science, machine learning, so we can complement their capabilities. And also we have innovators, organizations that want to develop new assets. So these new assets, it could be IP, it could be knowledge, it could be a database, it can be a specific tool. So we develop novel assets that we use for informatics drug discovery, and we are very happy to develop these assets together with other organizations. So we are looking forward to see how we can work with you and how we can support you with our informatics services. And I think this is my last slide, but you could go, yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention.
Fantastic, thank you, Rafa, and thank you, Lynne. That was a very good overview of the support that you can provide at the Medicines Discovery Catapult. Is there any question for either Lynne or Rafa from the audience? I don't see any currently in the chat, but this is your chance to speak with them with the Medicines Discovery Catapult. I know that some of you will meet them individually after this particular talk, but that should be really about your specific project. So if you have any other question with relation to the support that they can provide, please ask it now. We got a question from Deborah, actually. Thank you, Deborah. On a practical level, how would a researcher access, cost, and pay for these services?
So I can answer that one. So it's a piece of string. So for a sort of virtual R&D project that I had spoke about, the average cost would probably be about 15K, and that would be a fee-for-service project where we would expect you to fund that either through the Access to Expertise funding or from other funding. For some of Rafa's projects, it really is a piece of string. You know, it depends on the complexity, it depends where the starting point is. So for projects like that, it's really, I really couldn't even give you a ballpark figure. For the lab projects, I mean, for example, we have a geomics DSP nanostring technology. The consumables for that are horrifically expensive, you know, eye-wateringly expensive. So that's the sort of thing that you have to bear in mind. You know, if you've got a specific project, I can certainly give you an idea of the sort of costs involved. But yeah, for other things like mass spec, the consumables cost is actually quite low. So really, it's, you know, it's not as eye-watering. You're just paying for, you know, the labour and the access to the machines and things. So yeah, that's sort of my best answer, I'm afraid. Yeah, please do contact me, and I can put you in contact with the people at MDC, put you in touch with the scientists or the informatics team. So please do contact me.
Yeah, I think you can contact Lynne, or you can go to the website. I think there is a contact page, and there is a form, and then it goes to the business development team, and we can then engage with you and the business development team to be able to discuss that service and advice.
Fantastic, thank you both. And in the interest of the HUE, obviously we have a timeline of the 22nd of July for the deadline for this project. Is that realistic to get a quote from you guys in time for that? And is the website still the best way of going on in getting that quote, or is it best to approach you directly, given the short timeline?
So if you put your details into the website, that's great. We will get into contact with you. And we will be able to probably, if it's within our scope, give you a quote for that deadline. Obviously, the work will be scheduled much later than that, depending on. But yeah, it's no problem to get you quotes for that time. I am going on holiday on the 10th of July, so if you want a quote, please get in soon before I get my holiday head on.
Well, I think if they contact you after that, it'd be difficult to put together a proposal anyway. But that's great. And just a quick follow-up from that: is there any service that, you know, beyond the HUE can be provided for free? I know that nothing is free in life, but do you provide, for example, free consultation about that roadmap to the clinic or anything like that?
So the team would talk to MD for, you know, half an hour or an hour or so to get an idea of what, and we could give you some general advice, but, you know, it's going to be specific to the indication that you're in, how you're, you know, what your project is, how you're going to deliver. There's so many sort of variables that we will absolutely give you some the best advice we can. But if you want much more detailed advice, then it would be on a fee-for-service basis.
Fair enough, but it's already important that they get a chance to talk to you like they're going to be doing after this event today. And if there is no other question in the chat, I have perhaps another one, actually maybe two. One is about, you say you can help people put it together grant proposal and then work with them in that particular proposal. Is that in a collaborator capacity or like sort of a CRO capacity? So will you be providing a service, or will you effectively be a collaborator in that grant application?
Both are possible. So currently, some of the grants that universities apply for MRC funding and that, we never used to be eligible as we were like a research technology organisation. However, the rules on that are changing. At the moment, most of the grants we collaborate on are Innovate UK grants, like the Biomedical Catalyst or the SMART grant. There's various other Innovate UK grants and awards that are for small companies, but the Biomedical Catalyst also includes academics. And if you are interested in collaborating, then I can put you in touch with the grants team, or, you know, if you put your details out on the website, the grants team will contact you directly.
Fantastic, thank you, Lynne. And I might ask the same question to you, Mina, after, so you can prepare for the answer. And the last question I have, you mentioned, you know, the service about the roadmap to the clinic and all the other services really. And you mentioned that you're focusing in preclinical and perhaps clinical. But is there a point in which it's too early to approach you in terms of translation, or do you prefer people to approach you as soon as they got something that they think is translatable?
I think it's never too early. I mean, you know, if you're at a really early stage with just an idea, it might be that we don't really have a project that we could do with you. but we can certainly give you some advice. You know, we've spoke to people in the past who says, look, this sounds great, go away, do your research and come back to us once you've got a wee bit more data. But yeah, please get in touch. We're happy to chat.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lynne, and thank you, Rafa. If you stay until the end, there might be questions coming on for both the catapults. So it would be great. And then if you do, if anyone has booked a slot with the Catapult, Medicines Discovery Catapult, we will be seeing you after on a one-to-one capacity. But without further ado, I would like to move to our third speaker of the day, but second organization. So this is the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. We have Asimina that is returning to speak to our seminars, really, because you came last year, didn't you, Asimina?
Yes, that's correct. I did.
Good. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for agreeing to come to speak, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Alessandro and Fiona, for the invitation today. I'm very happy to be here again. Can you see my slides very well? And can you hear me also? Perfect. So my name is Asimina Pantazi, and I am one of the business development managers at the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. I'm responsible for UK North, which includes Manchester and the wider region. And today I would like to give you a brief introduction to the Catapult, the work that we do, and specifically how we support and work with academics and how we help them commercialize their research. So for those of you that you haven't heard about us before, the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult is a not-for-profit organization that is established by the UK government, and it's funded by Innovate UK. And our vision is to advance the cell and gene therapy sector in the UK and beyond. And we do this through establishing collaborations with several stakeholders in order to tackle certain challenges that the developers are facing within the field of cell and gene therapy. At the Catapult right now, we are approximately 400 people with expertise in a range of areas, covering all aspects of developing a new advanced therapeutic. We offer access to this range of capabilities that we have internally through our collaborations in order to help tackle the challenges in the sector. We are part of a wider network of catapults that also includes the Medicines Discovery Catapult, and we all work independently. We are different entities, but we collaborate with each other as our mission is really common to help innovation, to help de-risk innovation and innovative strategies in order to drive investment that will ultimately create jobs, enable trade, and bring prosperity in the UK. So you can see here on this slide that the support that we offer spans across the development journey of a new therapy from late research and discovery, just before preclinical studies, all the way to clinical adoption. And we collaborate with the wider ATMP, as we call it, Advanced Therapy Medicinal Product sector, from patients and carers to product developers, being universities, academics, startups, SMEs, mid and large pharmas, as well as we collaborate with technology suppliers and service product providers, being CROs, CDMOs, and supply chain companies as well as with regulators. We collaborate with regulatory bodies, and we also help to shape the regulatory framework in the UK. The Catapult works in areas that we have identified that are of high need in the sector of cell and gene therapy. And what we want to do is to support inward investment, to support the development of new innovative therapies. We are looking at supporting the development of more efficient and scalable manufacturing technologies. We're looking at improving the supply chain services, enhancing patient access to those therapeutics, and to also support employment in the sector through our skills and training programs. And we have a range of capabilities and expertise in-house, ranging from lab-based services, what we call the technology and process innovation teams, that are looking at how we can improve bioprocess control, how can we enable the development of more innovative cell engineering approaches. And an area of particular focus at the moment at the Catapult is the stem cell derived therapeutics and viral vectors, with a particular emphasis on AAV gene therapies. And we are developing platforms for development of those therapeutics, which we can offer to our collaborators to use and develop their own processes to let their own take into manufacturing. We have preclinical and clinical expertise. We also have regulatory expertise and health economics and market access, which I'm going to come back to that a bit later. Just before that, I wanted to mention, in terms of facilities, we have at the moment 4 main sites. In London, we have our Technology and Process Innovation Laboratories on the 12th floor at Guy's Hospital, which is basically the teams that are working on process development and analytical characterization, as well as our viral vector teams. And those teams are focusing at the earlier stages of process development. Whereas in Edinburgh, which is our newest facility, which will be operational from next year, actually, we're still growing the team. We will have teams that are focusing at the later stages of process development and scale up. We also have 2 manufacturing centers, one in Stevenage and one in Braintree, that are slightly different to each other. The one in Stevenage, which is bigger and the oldest one, but bigger one, we have 12 clean room modules that we can offer to our collaborators to come and manufacture their products, but they have to bring their staff and equipment. What we offer is the space, the infrastructure, and the QC capacity. Whereas in Braintree, we would work more collaboratively and together with the therapy developer that aims to manufacture, with the aim to that they will become more autonomous later in time. So here I have tried to map our different capabilities across the development path of a new therapy. And most academics, maybe not yourselves, but many of you might be at that stage, at the early stage of research and discovery. You may have a great idea, or perhaps some in vitro data or an in vivo model data. And what we can do is to help you to take you from that stage all the way to clinical adoption step by step, by offering access to several capabilities. For example, and these are just examples really, we have non-clinical expertise. What does that mean? We can help you to develop a clear vision of your medical product. We can help you to develop a strategy for your preclinical studies, and also the actual preclinical study design for your safety and toxicology and biodistribution studies. We can link you to CROs that will carry out the in vivo studies for you. We have regulatory and clinical expertise. So at that stage, we can support with the design of the clinical trials. We can support with the filing for a clinical trial application to help you to speak to the MHRA or other regulatory authorities to help you to obtain certain approvals that may be required, or licenses. Also, our regulatory as well as the health economics and market access teams can support you to really understand what is the regulatory roadmap for your product. As I said earlier, to really help you to speak to the MHRA, present to the MHRA your preclinical development plans, and gain their feedback on your developments. There is also the iLab scheme available that we can support you to enroll, which is a scheme that enables conversation from a very early point in your development with a group of regulatory bodies, and provides the opportunity for regular touch points across your development path. But if you want to know more about the iLab scheme, I can provide that information at the one-to-one sessions. And also the health economics team and health economics and market access team can help you develop your health economics model. What does that essentially mean is to know from a very early stage of your development that your therapeutic has a commercial potential that is going to be reimbursed, and to really understand what is the target population you should be aiming for, what are the patients that would really benefit from your therapy, and that in a way that there's going to be an economic, that your product will be economically sustainable. And that's very important to know very early on in the development. Otherwise, there may be no point developing the therapeutic if it's not going to make it to clinic. Very early on, we also advise starting to understand what your process will be, and our teams can help you to come up with a plan, start designing the process, and even develop a high-yielding, scalable, and GMP-compliant process that you will then transfer to a CDMO or contract development manufacturing organization to manufacture it for you, or come at the Catapult site to do it. So this is just a few examples of the support we can provide, but of course it's tailored to the specific needs of each project. And I just wanted to mention here that we also run investable opportunity clinics at the Catapult, which is a very unique program for those academics that are looking to spin out a company. And what we can do is bring representatives from the several teams from different backgrounds at the Catapult together with you in a meeting, half-day meeting, and discuss your data to date and your future plans. And they can recommend, they can identify what are the gaps in your research and recommend what further needs to be done in order to attract investment to turn your research into a spin-out company. On that slide, I just wanted to show you this schematic, which I borrowed from a tool that was published by the ABPI, the Association for British Pharmaceutical Industry, with input from teams from the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. And it's actually an interactive tool. I cannot show you here, but you can scan the QR code, and I really encourage you to download it. And it shows what are the key considerations throughout the development path of a new advanced therapy, all the way from non-clinical research up here, all the way to delivering this treatment to the patient. And you can click on each of those stages and really understand what are the considerations that you need to keep in mind, and what are the steps that you need to take to bring your therapeutic to the clinic. And with the from a Catapult perspective, we can support you throughout most of those stages. So it's a really nice tool, and I really recommend you visit it. And how do we work with academia? It's very similar to the model that was presented by the Medicines Discovery Catapult earlier today. We have the standard fee-for-service model, which is basically, if you have the funding available, you can discuss with us, identify the areas we can support you with, and we can deliver the work, and you pay us through your funding that is currently available. This might not be the case. Funding is not easy to find, but it ensures a very quick delivery at time-sensitive projects. The most common way of working with academics is through grant collaborations. So basically, we identify a grant opportunity that you may be eligible for, and we can co-apply as collaborators, or simply support your applications as, let's say, subcontractors. And once the grant is successful, we will deliver a part of the work as agreed at the application stage. There is waiting time involved, as with any grant opportunity. You need to plan ahead and long-term often, but it is often highly rewarding also. And here is just an example of a few grant schemes under which we work, and there's a lot more. This is just a few examples. And I would like to highlight this opportunity by Translational Manchester at the moment, the access to expertise. It's a small pot of money, but it can be really beneficial for you as a starting point to help you perhaps understand your preclinical strategy, the regulatory requirements, speak to the MHRA, or understand the market for your product. And we can discuss about that later on at the one-to-ones. And there is also a third way, which is a bit more particular. We often form collaborations where there is a contribution from the Catapult in the form of in-kind support. So we can do some free work, but these projects have to be very unique in the sense that we have to be sure that they address key challenges that the wider sector is facing, or that they help us as a Catapult to advance our own capabilities to then later on benefit the wider industry. And before finishing, I would like to take you through a couple of case studies which are examples of how we have worked previously with academics and how we supported them in their commercialization journey. So this is an example with the University of Edinburgh. There was this academic group that were developing a macrophage therapy for liver cirrhosis, and they were moving towards clinical trials. So they worked with us to using funds from an existing grant. So that was like a fee-for-service model, transactional relationship. And we help them through conducting market access assessment for the therapy to understand the economics of the therapeutic. We help them to build the economic model and understand what is the reimbursement potential of the therapy before bringing it to first-in-human trial. And we also provide regulatory and non-clinical support to fine-tune their non-clinical preclinical program before moving to clinical trials. Otherwise, there was a risk that their clinical trial application wouldn't even be authorized. And another example is work we did with the University of Sheffield with an academic doing research in auditory stem cells. That academic actually formed a spin-out company to develop a stem cell therapy for reversing hearing loss. And this is a different way of working with them. We worked as partners under a grant application, an Innovate UK grant. We helped them secure basically 3 million. That was a lot of money. And the work we're currently doing under this grant is to help them develop a GMP compliant process for developing their product. And as soon as this project is finished, they will be able to transfer that process to a CDMO to manufacture the material at scale for the clinical trials. And this is my last slide, it's just numbers really showing the impact that we're delivering in the sector. And I have circled this figure here that says we have worked in the last year with 25 universities, so we're really active in the UK, and you can just see all the numbers and how the industry is growing in the UK. And I think that you should feel, those of you working in this sector, the cell and gene therapy sector, should feel really privileged to be in the UK right now. The industry is growing so rapidly. There is a lot of support. It's an amazing time and place to be, as the UK is the largest cell and gene therapy cluster outside the US. So I look forward to discussing with you later. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them now. And you can also scan this QR code, which is going to automatically direct you to sending me an email for a follow-up call. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you, Mina. That was a very comprehensive answer on my question even before I started asking them. And but I do have a couple. But before I ask them, if there is any question for Mina from the audience, you can either put in the chat, raise your virtual hand, or just speak out. So my question for you is the same I've asked Lynne and Rafa, really. Is there anything free that can be provided by the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult before we go on the fee to service option?
So my answer would be very similar to the answer that Lynne gave earlier today. We will have the first a couple of calls with the academics to really understand what is the research on and what are the challenges they might be facing, or what are the next goals of the research. And even from that very early stage, we will start directing their thinking and providing recommendations in terms of what they need to do, what it would be good to have. And then starting with myself, that I would be the person to have that conversation first. But then we would also have a call with experts from the team, and they would be able to advise further and provide that information. Now, after that point, we would recommend certain pieces of work that need to be carried out, and that would require funding, which can come from grants, for example. The Investable Opportunity Clinic that I mentioned is the service we offer for free, but this is really particular, and we have a very thorough due diligence process according to which we select which academics we're going to bring forward to the pipeline of this Investable Opportunity Clinic program.
That's great. Thank you, Mina. I mean, that's already a fantastic service you, both the cell and gene therapy catapult and the medicine discovery catapult.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Maybe I mentioned it earlier, but if the project is really aligned with our strategic priorities and an area that something that the catapult would do anyway to advance our own capabilities, and we see that this support can be provided from an academic that has a lot of expertise in the field, then there would be an opportunity for a collaborative contribution whereby we offer in-kind support. But again, this is something very unique.
Yeah, fair enough. But the whole point of this is that it's worth having a chat with both the catapults if you're in that place in your research project. So that's why I was trying to encourage by asking you that question. There's no nothing to lose in having a chat with you, actually. It's all to gain. My other question for you, Mina, so you mentioned your manufacturing capabilities. Is there any limitation on the scale of it? So should an academic approach you only if they've got a big project, they need to produce a large amount of you know, either cell or gene therapy products? Or do you also do small scale preclinical or even laboratory project that needs to be on a GMP capacity? Is there a limitation on the scale of the projects that you accommodate in your facilities?
We could do smaller scale, not at the manufacturing centers, because these are meant to be used for a large scale clinical trials and later. We could do smaller scale at the laboratory facilities, but we would try. The Catapult does not compete, at least this is what we want to achieve. We don't compete with any other organization. So we would need to know why are the academics coming to us? Can they perhaps use a facility, a GMP facility within a university or some other organization? So we would need to rule out these options before agreeing to help from our side. But it is something that could be considered, yes.
Good. That's fantastic to know. Then the last question I have, unless Fiona's got any or anyone from the audience, is probably for both the catapult really. Is there many projects that would require both of your expertises? So like, have you ever experienced project in which you had an academic come in and say, oh, I need this for the cell and gene therapy, but then I also need the medicine discovery catapult because my innovation intervention includes both a pharmaceutical aspect and a cell or gene therapy aspect? Is there many of those?
To my knowledge, not yet. One area we do work in is complex meds. So often some of the therapies that Mina is talking about would have to be delivered via complex meds, for example, nanoparticles or that. So I do hope that in the future we do work together, but at the moment, I don't think there is any, is there?
Not to my knowledge either, but you have to consider that I am relatively new to the Catapult. I've been here for a bit longer than a year. So within that year, I didn't have such an instance. But we had cases where the academic would be developing not only therapy, but also a diagnostic for the same area, for the same indication. Then we would direct them to the Medicines Discovery Catapult for support.
Great, thank you both. I mean, the reason I was also asking this is because, as you know, we will have next month an advanced therapeutics translation workshop, the link of which has been posted to the chat. That's a face-to-face event here in Manchester at City Labs, to which both the catapults will come. I'm not sure if Lynne and Mina, you're both coming, but someone from both catapults will be present. And that's about advanced therapeutics. And as Lynne has just mentioned, those are the ones that really might really involve both catapults, if you wish. So if you're interested in that event and you want to see the catapults again, please register by using that link in the chat. That's organized in collaboration with AMM, the Advanced Material in Medicine Network here in Manchester, and the CHUDI Health Network led by Professor Costas Costarellas. Okay, so if there is no other questions from the audience, we can perhaps close the meeting a few minutes earlier than expected. If you have booked a one-to-one with either Catapult, it should have been sent a link to join. So you see Asimina, Lynne, and Rafa, depending on who you booked your one-to-one with. And if you have any other question from us at Translation Manchester or the Catapult, don't hesitate to get in touch. Our main mailbox, which is translation@manchester.ac.uk. We will share the slides with everybody if that's okay. Mina and Lynne and Rafa, is that okay for us to share the slides?
That's fine.
So if you have any question, we can also share the contact details, I suppose. And thank you again to all the speakers to present today. And we do have an event. Is it next week, Fiona? The bioinformatics seminar series.
Yeah, no, it's the week after, 2 weeks time. So 30th, I believe.
Yeah, so hopefully you will have seen that in the announcement. We'll have Lynne, who is also on the call today, talking about the bioinformatics support that we can offer internally, which that is Lynne, which could be perhaps even now that we are aware of the service that Rafa does, could be about directing people to that service as well. So because this is about building capacity and capability rather than doing the bioinformatics analysis for the academic. But if you do follow our newsletter and visit our website, you will find details about this seminar. So thank again everybody for joining today, and our fantastic speaker, and see you all in a couple of weeks' time.